Are we clear about this topic today? And
I don't know.
Duty is duty you have to do. Right is the right that it cannot be taken away. And privilege is something you have to earn. You have to work.
With good behavior.
Good behavior, you have a reward.
Okay.
So,
okay. All right. So I'm going to just do a family overview so that everyone can relate to this, because everyone hopefully has family. So the parents are the government, although it's more authoritarian for a parent. And the parents say, okay, these are the rules of the house. These are the rules. Take your shoes off. You get home on time. You do your homework. You pass your exams. Okay. All right. These are the rules. If you violate these rules, there are going to be punishments for these rules. The kids say, okay, cool. And my rights are that I get to choose what we eat once a week, like whatever is my favorite food. We get pizza once a week. Okay, that's my right. And these are things that are undeniable. The parent has to say, okay, you have to feed me every day. That's a child's right. And then the privilege, is that they get to choose. As long as they did well, they get you get to choose. You get pizza every week. If you want pizza on Fridays or Saturdays and a movie night, you get to choose the movie. And then when they get a little bit older, you might say, okay, so you did really well. Your grades came in. Now you're responsible. You can borrow the car. You can borrow the car as long as you have it back before 9 o'clock. And if they don't, then that privilege is then taken away. It's not a right of them to get that. They got that because they had good behavior and they showed the responsibility.
But they have the right to go to school and demand a place to stay and demand food from parents.
And it is the parents' duty to get them to school and make sure they go to school and to feed them properly and to provide a house, a roof over their head, food in their stomach, clean clothes, shoes, all that stuff. That is a parent. As soon as you have a child, that is your duty. You have to do those things. Now, the kid has the rights that are imposed by the duties on the parent. Those are the rights. The child has the right to a bed to sleep in and food in their stomach and an education. All right, but the privileges are separate. The privileges are because good behavior. So grandma gives you candy because you made a good drawing and got an A from your teacher. And grandma said, you did good. You got an A. I'm going to give you candy. Every time you see grandma, if you have something to show her, an A to show her, she gives you candy. That's a privilege that she gave you. That's not a right to candy. Kids don't have a right to candy. There's no right to candy. No. Although they think they do. And then they protest. Very, very harshly protest.
Yeah. Well, I can't have candy.
No,
it's my right. You are my grandma.
For the little ones, it's more like, they don't really protest properly. We've known some adults that protest like that, huh?
You attack our Chinese again.
I didn't attack Chinese at all.
You say we act like children.
I said we've known some people who attack like that. I could just as easily show you someone that's Western.
You said our...
We have crazy people too. Don't say you are the only ones with crazy people. Are you saying that China's the only one with crazy people? Because I beg to differ. We have crazy people too.
You indicate that our journalists fight at this place and our government people fight at this APEC meeting and all other international meetings.
That's called a fact.
You indicate that our government behaves like children.
That's called a fact. When you have it on video, it's a fact, dear. I'm sorry. Facts hurt sometimes. But yeah, I haven't seen Western politicians doing that kind of stuff. I mean, no, I've heard about... Well, I think in the UK, they can get pretty heated. They can get pretty heated over there.
But that's our culture.
Really?
We are strong now.
So it's pleasant to do that? The thing is, it's your culture inside your country, but once you're outside the country... and you're joining in with a whole bunch of people who are outside of their countries too, and they're all on a common platform obeying the same rules in a separate outside organization that they've all agreed to obey the rules. So they all agreed to take their shoes off. But China said, I'm not taking my shoes off.
Because my feet smells bad.
Oh, that can be a problem. Wow.
So why don't you respect our rules?
Maybe China should just say, okay, you know what, I think this rule isn't so good because, you know, my feet might stink and yours do too. So maybe we should make a new rule where we can choose to wear our shoes or choose not to.
This is why we're trying to sneak into somebody's office and have a under-table talk. Maybe we just give a little money and...
No, but there's no need. Why can't you just come out in the open and say, hey, this isn't... I don't think this is a good idea, or it's not fair, or it doesn't apply to enough people. Can we work with it, and can we see what we can compromise?
We don't have this culture in China, discussion, debate,
right.
or talk openly.
Listen, but that's inside China. Once China has decided to become a world player and work with the rest of the world, all of these countries have to come up with common ground. We don't speak the same language. I don't speak French and German and Urdu and Hindi, but we all are able to somehow communicate and find common ground. Why can't China?
Because we paid more money than other countries.
To who?
To this meeting, I think.
Why?
APEC meeting will spend a lot of money.
Why?
I don't know why.
Because I know China. If China's able to do that, then why are they still taking, like, donations?
Oh, that's because we're a developing country.
No, but they're not developing. If they say, oh, we splashed all this money around, but they're still a developing country and taking aid from the UN. What's going on here? You know, they need to decide. I think the biggest problem is that there is no consistency. And so they can't come up with a way to communicate and a way to work together because there's no consistency in the rights and the responsibilities and the privileges. Do you understand? And the duties, obviously. There's no consistency. One person says it's this, and then actually the same person will say that it's different in different situations, 5 minutes apart, it seems.
Many Asian philosophers says the problem between people fight with each other is actually the language, because we don't have the same concept. So if you can explain the language, if you explain the concept, if each other understand each other's language, the same concept, then the problem can be avoided. I think China is not in the same page yet with the rest of the world or the Western culture leading the world. So please give us some time, and we will grow, and we will be better every day, growing up every day. And you have 300 years history, 200 years, 300 years history in America. And
over 200, almost 250.
250 years, and also the democracy have almost like over 2,000, more than 2,000 years history. But our country have only like 69 years old. We are very, very young. I still a baby. So, and also because of the open door policy reform, have only 40 years. So we are very, very young compared with there's a 2,000 years old gentleman and 250 years old gentleman. We are very young, so sometimes we behave, and we are strong. So we have muscles. So we maybe.
It's not like that though. That has nothing to do with anything. It has to do with a willingness to listen and grow, and seeing that you're not perfect. And that everybody and the whole purpose of life is to grow and change and get better.
That's another thing, is that in the West, they always tell people nothing is completely correct and we are not perfect. But to our country, it is so important to my government to be completely correct and absolutely perfect.
But it's impossible. I mean, it's so difficult. And it's a completely different type of way of thinking, because for over 2,000 years we've gone by what did what was the quote from Socrates? Socrates was executed.
Yes, unexamined life is
An unexamined life, say it.
An unexamined life is not worth living.
And what does that mean?
An unexamined life is not worth living.
An unexamined life is not worth living. That's from Socrates, as quoted by Plato, his student. Now, that means that someone who doesn't question and doesn't try to become better, including government and individuals, that's not even a life worth living. What's the point?
Yeah, I do see the problem that on one hand, our party says, my party is always great, glorious, and correct. On the other hand, we say we have to reform. We have a deeper reform. So if we're already perfect, always correct, why we need reform? For those things, I think I need to have a private talk with my brother Xi Jinping. When he got the time, okay, we have a chat.
The only sense that I get, just I'm not a politician or anything, and you don't need to be. The sense I get is confusion and chaos because there's no consistency. It would be like if I went into my classroom and had little kids I was teaching, and I didn't reinforce the rules. And some days they can do crazy stuff, and other days I expect them to be orderly and quiet. No, you can't. You have to be consistent. And it just changes. What they're saying changes, the rules change, and people get confused, and then they get scared, and I don't know.
I think we're off topic very, very much, and we have been talking for a very, very long time. Right. And as a matter of fact, we have been talking like this every day for hours and hours. So the only difference is not on camera; it's off camera.
Yeah.
So if you are really enjoying this kind of topic, we can do a live show. You can follow us 24/7.
We'll put a GoPro. You can have a GoPro camera, but we don't have a GoPro. He needs to get a GoPro. Huh? Yeah. We'll put it here, and then I can wear one, and we can switch back and forth. So when you're talking, mine will come on, and when you're talking, mine will come on.
Yeah.
Or when I'm talking, yeah. That.
And sometimes we have the chicken talk. No.
He's always in the chicken.
Kitchen talk, and not very much bathroom talk, but kitchen talk was very interesting, very inspiring. So it's too bad you did not hear that. Okay, every time we are sit together, we have to perform a little bit, acting a little bit. But when we are natural, we has no customers, no viewers, we are on ourselves. Whoa! Sometimes talk is hot.
Yeah. Because then I don't try to be politically correct. There's no reason to be.
Yeah.
It's you and me.
Okay. So, guys, doesn't hurt to have a girlfriend who is young and also have a brain at the same time. Doesn't hurt at all.
Brains are sexy. Big brains are sexy. Ooh, baby.
It's off camera, don't worry.